What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing well. Got a little bit more Fernbus to cover today. There's a few topics of conversations which I want to kind of cover, a few things I want to kind of go over in regards to what I think is to be expected for the console release. But not only that, kind of go through a little bit of information and kind of, you know, sort of go through the things which I expect, my concerns more than anything. But yeah, we will get into that. I think I'm going to drive the BB40 again tonight. I'm not entirely sure. I'll probably keep it in the snow. You know, I thought that looked really, really nice last time when I was driving around in the BB in the snow. You know, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. But yeah, like I say, without further ado, let's set it up, shall we? We get into our bus, and then we will go from there. Of course, the stream was for 8 o'clock, but I managed to get on a little bit earlier. So happy days. Let's have a look. We've got the man there. CMC, a Neo plan. See, the Neo plan is what I like using on tourist bus. But I just didn't think the roads were really designed for a coach as big as this necessarily. But yeah, we'll jump into the BB40 and we'll give it a go. All right. So weather, snow, yeah, let's get it. But like I say, over the course of the stream, I just want to really sort of touch ground and get a little bit of a feeling or a gauge as to what you guys or how you guys feel about the upcoming release for Fernbus for consoles, and kind of a few things as to what you really what really concerns you and what you really expect. Now, for me, generally, my biggest concern more than anything is the life of tourist bus. Now, of course, when Fernbus hits consoles, it's definitely going to shadow over tourist bus, and unfortunately, I mean, this is usually the way it goes with this developer anyway, but the fact is that the chances are we are not really going to see much love for tourist bus. Now, I know that they've said that they're going to upgrade it to the Unreal Engine 5 as well, but of course, the popular choice out of the two, in my honest opinion, is more than likely going to be Fernbus. Now, I know that a lot of people will agree and disagree, but this is what these streams are for, you know, just to kind of go over a little bit of, you know, the basis of how you guys generally feel about it. Now, for me, it's not too much of a problem because, you know, like all the other PC users out there, you know, that have access to these games already, it's probably not such a big deal for you, but for the console perspective of things, I mean, me more than anybody else, I really, really want to see
Ist das gültig?
more simulation games come into console. And if Fernbus is going to come to console and it's going to look nice, run smoothly, you know, and play great, then I think it's going to make a really, really nice addition to,
Danke sehr.
you know, the simulation side of things.
Moin, fahren Sie in meine Richtung? Auf geht's.
I think so. I always get confused
Mahlzeit,
with these
bitte sehr.
because, of course, it's in German, so kind of getting things all tallied
Danke.
up.
Hallo,
can
hier
be a
ist
bit
mein
of a
Ticket.
task.
Danke.
But I think all
Ciao,
of these people
das
are gonna
Ticket.
go on the
Bitte
bus
schön, sehr
anyway.
freundlich.
It's usually the
Mahlzeit,
case.
ist das gültig? Danke.
Hallo, Sie wollen bestimmt mein Ticket. Cool. Tag, Sie wollen bestimmt mein Ticket. Cool.
Salü, fahren
Let's
Sie
get
in meine
you on
Richtung?
there as
Auf
well.
geht's.
Grüezi, bitte sehr.
Oh,
Tut
ticket
mir leid,
invalid.
aber
Never
Sie
mind.
fahren ja gar nicht in meine
bin
Richtung.
ich hier richtig?
Danke sehr.
Mahlzeit, mein Ticket. Dankeschön.
Yeah,
Hallo, mein Ticket?
get you on
Dankeschön.
as well. But I think that's everybody. I don't understand either why they stand so far away from the actual where the bus is. You know, I mean, if it was me, I'd be here. I mean, I'd be like trying to charge people off. Right. Well, we got the sat nav working today. Wheels working fine. That's all set up. All nice. But yeah, just in general, I mean, from the information that we had from Tourist Bus on PC and ported over to the console side, I don't really expect anything different. Now, what I mean by that is that we've got a lot of settings which seem to be missing. Also, wheel support. That is going to be the biggest thing when it comes to this Fernbus coming to console, because it has to be. This is what I feel is like just a one shot. You know, they have one opportunity now to get it right before people just generally drop off. I mean, and a lot of people have. How's it going, G-Song? Welcome to the stream, mate. I hope you're doing well. Let's get this thing on the roll anyway. That's right. I completely forgot about that. I forgot last time to set up my indicators, sadly. So I'll have to do that real quickly. All the way to the left. All the way to the right. Brake. We'll confirm that. Continue. Cancel that then. We'll do. How is that conflicting? Cancel. Do you know what? We'll just cancel that. We'll confirm it, because the retarder is not really important at the moment. So hopefully, there we go. But yeah, I mean, like, on the basis of it, I mean, of course the PC version looks really, really nice, you know, and I hope that that sort of translates to the console side of things. Now, we've seen videos that have surfaced, you know, funnily enough, driving in very similar conditions to this, and it does look good. It really does look good. But of course, what really lets it down more than anything, I find, is the reputation that Fabian has. And sometimes when he speaks, it definitely feels like he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes in very, very, well, in a few instances, in a few cases, it's definitely been evident that that is the case. But it's really, really hard, because we want to invest our money and we want these games to be good. You know, there's no two ways about it. We really want Fernbus to look and run amazingly for the console. And I just really, really hope that this time around, we don't want another episode of, you know, promising things and then not delivering, and then it taking months and months and months to get the most basic of updates and bugs fixed, because, you know, bearing in mind we are talking about the same developer here, you know, so their experience and their reputation for the games which they have developed and have pushed out to us aren't in very good you know, they're not in very good states. So for somebody like me, and, you know, the next sort of enthusiast that really likes playing these games, that is something that we really want not to happen. You know, I would absolutely love nothing more than the game to come out flawlessly, but the reality of it is it's not going to. And I think a lot of that, in fact, is going to come down to the element of a lot of copy and pasting. Now, I've mentioned that a lot in previous videos on this game, and even on Tourist Bus as well, that a lot of the issues that we currently have with Fernbus translate over to Tourist Bus. Just like the sat-nav, for example, you know, that tends to have a mind of its own. But I have to say that on that front of things, it's not really such a big deal. But at the same time, it should be working. And I feel that there's a lot of elements within Tourist Bus that should be working and aren't. And the time scale that it's actually taken them, even to this day, they still haven't fixed what everybody's been asking them to fix. Now, you could sit there and say, well, yeah, of course they've said that they're going to fix it with the Unreal 5 engine upgrade, you know, and everything's going to be great, everything's going to be fixed, polished over, and it's going to be, you know, working and running properly. But they said very, very similar things about Tourist Bus before it was ported over, you know, so you've literally got to take what they say with a pinch of salt, because their actions are matching up with the words. And Fabian is a very, very clever man. No wonder why he's PR, you know what I mean, you know, the publisher. No wonder why he's the face, because I give him his credit. He is very good at selling his games, but I just feel like he's not really clued up enough to the point of where he should be selling these games. Because in my eyes, he doesn't really know an awful lot about the games which he's publishing. And that's clear as day, because when you ask him a genuine thing, he can't give you an appropriate yet responsive answer, if one at all. So there are a few things that are hindering as to whether this game is, you know, actually going to be good for consoles or not. Is it me, or is Tourist Bus that looks better than Fernbus in terms of graphics and textures, or some of the textures? Now this is the thing. So at the moment, the only real thing that really sort of makes you think of that comparison is the fact that one's got a lot more grey. There's a lot more grey and dark textures. You know, there's a lot more concrete. Whereas Tourist Bus, it's more like dirt and sand and sun. So they've definitely played a lot with the lighting. When you actually play the game yourself, you'll notice that, in fact, it literally feels like you're playing Tourist Bus, except you're driving in Germany. If that's a good way to describe it. But I mean, when it comes down to details, the buses, I'm not expecting anything sort of revolutionary there, because a lot of it will be copy and pasted. And I'd be very, very surprised if they're not copy and pasted again. It's just the way that it is. But of course, if they are copied and pasted over, then we have to expect some of the issues that we have currently in the console version. Because the way that I see it for this Unreal Engine 5 upgrade, even though the game is claimed to be running smoother, there is a very big difference between performance and visuals, and you can make things look incredibly detailed with lighting, and I feel that that's what they try to do with Tourist Bus in a way, because that sun is just so intense, those sun rays are so intense that it almost gives that sort of feel, you know. But nevertheless, I think when it actually comes down to the console release, I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it. I think a lot of people are going to be eager to play it. But at the same time, for me, I just sit there and feel that, you know, I can already sort of sense what's going to happen in the first couple of weeks, and there's going to be a lot of interesting topics of conversation about the game when it does release, and a lot of it is sheerly just based on, like I said, the experience that we all had with Tourist Bus. You're not really looking at, like I said, you're not looking at anything sort of revolutionary. It's all the same stuff. You know, I think it's easy to get carried away with the hype of, you know, it being built up to the fact that it's coming to a console. I think that is primarily the heaviest response that they've got. It's, in other words, people that can't get a PC or people that don't have a PC and are limited to just using a console, and they've been watching their favourite YouTuber or their favourite streamer or whatever play the game that they want to play, it's very, very easy to get sucked into the hype of it coming. And when that happens, people seem to neglect a lot of the issues which are very, very so much like in your face. You know, and as from my perspective, that's what I try and sort of help people with. But of course, people are going to make up their own minds either way, you know. The AI, I would say the AI are probably a little bit more behaved on Fernbus, but I think that that's just simply down to the scale of the map and how sort of straight the roads are. Because on Tourist Bus, of course, you've got like ends of the island where they all congregate and it just gets messy, you know, and there's lots of tight turns and corners in Tourist Bus. So, you know, the AI are definitely a little bit more manic on Tourist Bus in comparison to Ferbus. But I think, like I said, that's just simply down to the space. Other than that, the buses sound the same, they feel the same, they drive the same, except, you know, you've got the ability to drive in different locations, and I think that's somewhat of a big selling point. And of course, because, you know, they've marketed it so well, I think that's sort of like the hook, so to speak. You know, when it comes to the game, you can get, if you buy the console version, you get all the DLCs for free. You know, and in the back of my mind, that is a great sort of incentive to try and get people to play it, try and get new people on board, you know, and to travel around different regions and stuff, driving the buses that they love. There's no problem with that. The issue is how they deal with technical issues, bugs, and the time frame in which they sort them out in. And like I said, for the past experience that we've had with Tourist Bus, it's not done in a timely manner. And that's something that really kind of sets me back a little bit, despite the fact that, you know, the game looks nice and, you know, it's nice driving your favourite buses around the map and everything. You know, it still doesn't take away from the fact that there are still a lot of significant problems which have been addressed thousands of times. And for me, it's like, before they've even considered upgrading or fixing their current project, they're always doing something else. We've got the bus on the go, and now we've got Fernbus coming to console as well. You know, and it's like, well, you haven't even fixed Tourist Bus yet. Oh, but it'll be done when Fernbus comes out. To me, that's a huge red flag, because I feel that they're probably going to now try and, like I said before, overshadow Tourist Bus with the fact that Fernbus is coming to console. You know, they're probably hoping that people are going to forget about it, and I think they're going to end up with a bit of a rude awakening, because, you know, when we were dealing with the likes of On the Road with Fabian, Aerosoft, you know, still to this day people go on at him to try and upgrade it, to try and fix it, but the attitude is still there. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, and like I said, if it was to happen, you know, then that would be great. That would be really good. But this is the class of, this is the caliber of person that we're dealing with, you know. And despite the fact that we may like these games, we must not let it cloud our judgment, because it's, like I said, it's easy to get sucked into the hype of wanting to play these games, and you may genuinely want to play it. You know, you know, anybody that really wants to play it has already got their mind set. I'm not trying to convince people otherwise. You know, I'm just saying, from the evidence that we have and the experience that we have from this same developer, the same publisher, for the previous title, and how they've handled that, we would be really, really silly to invest more of our time and more of our money into something which is probably going to end up the same. And with the likes of this Unreal 5 engine as a promise, you know, like there's a wise saying, you know, you you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. You know, and it very much feels as if that's the sort of route they're going down, just based on the sort of experience and attitude that we've had from this developer and this publisher so far. You know, it's black and white there. You know, we can all see it for what it is, and we can all get a sense of the frustration that we've all got for it, because at the end of the day, we're passionate about these games. You know, we want them to do well. We don't want to bash on them every day, and we want to have good things to talk about. But sadly, a lot of it is negative, and it's not by choice. It's TML and Aerosoft, or should I say TML and Fabian, whatever ties he has to this. You know, to put it right, to inform the player. Like I've always said, a bit of a roadmap or a message every couple of weeks to kind of clue us in on the development. No, we don't hear nothing from that. But if there's a brand spanking new DLC with a couple of buses that they can sell to you, oh, he's all over it. It's like a fly on shit. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that irritates me because it's so blatant. You know, I'm not taking it away from the game. I'm not going to say that people aren't going to enjoy it or people aren't going to, you know, have a good time. But we can't neglect the fact that this is essentially the same game that we've all played before, and all the same problems are all persistent across all of the board simply because of copy and paste. You know, and we're all like, yay, let's go for it. This is exactly what we want. You know, more money, have it. You know, chuck it at them. But this is the problem, and it's not just people like TML, companies like TML and Aerosoft. This is gaming in general. And the problem is that when things do go wrong and things aren't right, more people need to kind of stand up and say, look, this isn't right. People with power, people with platforms need to put their foot down and express how they feel about games which they love. There's no problem with that whatsoever. But sadly, people don't use their voice enough, and it comes down to really one thing and one thing only. They're either biased to the point of where they swear there's nothing wrong with these games, or they've been given a free code. Do you know what I mean? There's always something to sweeten the deal. Whereas me, I try and keep it as raw as I can and as pure as I can, so that people get a better understanding of what really you're spending your money on. Because it is TML, and I don't know what people expect. There are, like I said, there are going to be a lot of issues with this game when it comes to console. Of course there is. You know, it's not going to be fixed overnight. But like I've said before, they said the same thing about Tourist Bus, and it's just been left. You know, now we've got a new game on the horizon, or should I say a new console port on the horizon. And it's almost as if everybody's just forgotten about the fact that we've just spent months and months and months trying to get a simple update so we can, you know, move on the Xbox side of it. You know, and that's it. That's all we've got. No talk about when Xbox are going to get the luggage update, you know, or when things are going to start to improve. There's none of that. The last two updates which Xbox had, you know, they don't give you any patch notes, and there's a reason for that. And it's simply down to the fact that they literally fixed the bare minimum. They could quite easily put these things right, quite easily. I mean, you think about it, they've got two other projects on the go. If they can't put luggage on a damn bus for one side of a platform, how the hell do you expect people to believe you on this glamorous, tremendous upgrade that we're all supposed to be getting in the not so distant future? I don't get it. Maybe my opinion, maybe my verdict, maybe the way that I sort of approach it in my mind is different to other people. But realistically, you know, if the oven's hot and you put your hand on it and it burns, you don't put it on the second time, do you? And if you do, well, What can I say? But yeah, G-Soul, it is definitely frustrating. And like I say, this frustration builds up around the fact that we want these games to do extremely well. And if the communication and the updates were a little bit more frequent and consistent, I don't think many people would have much of an issue. But from expectations, you've got to have a foundation to at least consider purchasing the game. And the majority of the time is that you're seeing a version of a game that you're not even going to be playing. And that was my other concern as to whether because Fabian did this with On the Road, you know, he claimed that we were seeing a console version being shown in the videos, when in actual fact it was a PC version, and it was just done simply for marketing so that people would think that they were getting that level of detail from a game. But the truth was, when it released, it looked absolutely nothing like that. And now I've got a very bad feeling that all these Fernbus videos that we're seeing from Fabian, I don't think he's playing an Xbox version or a PlayStation version at all. I think he's showing the PC version to the best of his ability. Of course, he's a PR man, he's a publisher. His job is to sell you a product. Well, he's going to make that product look as glamorous as he physically can, you know, and people just don't understand how that tends to work, you know. How's it going, Cristiano? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Fernbus needs more alive cities, in my opinion. Should be able to fill that drive through a big city. However, I highly doubt they bother at all. Well, this is it, and it's not just the city. It's the accessibility options. It's the wheel support. It's all the settings which basically get cut out in order for the game to run properly. This is what they did with Tourist Bus. There are so many options on the PC side of it in comparison to the console version. You say, oh well, of course PCs can handle more, but with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, there is no real reason why they can't have wheel support in there, to the point of where you can map your own buttons, you know, change your force feedback settings. It just doesn't make sense, and it was cut out. You know, and I have a very, very strong suspicion that for Fernbus console, you know, there's not going to be any wheel settings at all, apart from your basic. And we all know, if we play Tourist Bus, how heavy that force feedback is, and there's no real way to change it, other than the fact that if you've got a PC and you know you do your presets and stuff like that for your wheels, you know. But not everybody's got the luxury to do that.
Servus, ich hoffe, ich bin hier richtig. Sehr freundlich.
You know, it's supposed to be a simulation game, you know. But when
Ciao,
when you actually
Sie wollen
think
bestimmt
about
mein Ticket
it,
sehen. Sehr freundlich.
it's not very sim, is it?
Tag, fahren Sie in meine Richtung? Cool.
Tag, ich hoffe, ich bin hier cool. Salut, ich hoffe, ich bin hier. Ciao.
Mahlzeit. Hier ist mein Ticket. Danke sehr.
No, okay,
Grüezi, hier ist mein Ticket. Danke sehr.
not a problem. I think that's everyone. Yep. But of course, like I said before, you know, if the bus is, look, this is what's happening again, look. So throttle is closing the door. Now I turn it on and the sat-nav stops working. But anybody that's played Tourist Bus will know what this is about already. Now the indicators don't work, look. I mean, how do you fix that? Look, the indicator is on, and the sat-nav is on. But now none of it works. Never mind. Journey will continue. But this is what I mean. It's small minute details which really sort of suck the immersion away from it. You know, I mean, we can have nice looking rain, we can have nice looking snow, you know, but the only reason why they show the game in the snow is because it covers up all the cracks. It covers up all the how dull the you know the map actually is. It definitely needs a lot more going on in it though. You know, like I generally feel like sometimes I'm the only one that's driving a bus. You do get a couple here and there, but it's nothing to really make you feel as if you're in sort of an immersive environment. Of course, it's nice having different weather types, dynamics. But the thing is like, now that this has happened with the sat-nav and the indicators, I'm now fixated on that part. So I'm not even taking all of this in, because I'm just not happy at the fact that the sat-nav's not working. So yeah, I mean, people definitely are going to look at this in a different way, and that's, you know, like I say, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But like I say, for the evidence that we've actually got, based on what they've shown us so far, I think it's just another one of their marketing ploys, really, to make the game look as good as they can, sound, look, feel, whatever, as best as it can, to try and make you buy it. And whether people agree with me with that on that or not is completely irrelevant, really, because it's subjective. But people will slowly and surely find out when it does come to console, when they do upgrade it. You know, we will see, won't we? We will see. But of course, this is, like I said, this is my opinion. This is how I feel about it. You know, if anybody else has got any sort of thoughts and opinions on the matter, you know, fire away. You know, because at the end of the day, when it actually comes down to it, we're the ones that are paying over our hard-earned money for games which are half-baked. And what I'm trying to do is expose what's wrong with this game in comparison to another game which they've developed, and using the experience and the information and the evidence to support what I'm saying, and I'm showing you as I'm saying it. I'm not just pulling these things out of thin air, you know. These are really sort of genuine concerns that I have, you know, because let's face it, this is not the first time that it's happened, and I'm sure as hell that it won't be the last time that it's happened. Going to happen either. Like I said, they're very, very good at what they do. They make the games look really, really nice, you know, and then when you load them up, if you can load them up, you know, you bought a brand spanking new wheel to play the game with, to find out that you know, the wheel's not supported. There's no list to tell you which wheel's supported, so you've got to run through a load of Facebook groups or a load of YouTube videos just to find out that the game that you were, you know, invested in so much from watching, if your wheel works, and then you find out that it doesn't. How's it going, Poorhouse? No, not out on console yet, man. Not out on console yet. But we will change it up. We'll change the weather up. We'll play around with a couple of buses tonight, a couple of coaches, and people can kind of get a general feel. I mean, like I say, if you play tourist bus, the buses are going to... Well, that just popped out of nowhere. The buses are going to be completely the same. There's nothing that I can really sort of show you there to make you go, wow, you know, because there isn't anything there that's going to make you do that. Unless you're somebody that's really, really new to the sort of company the publisher, all that sort of stuff, and this will be the first game that you're ever going to buy from them. You know, I can understand why you would maybe want to see that, but yeah, for me, it's just one of those things. Another thing as well, something that I really want to know, not only the price, but at the same time, what are they going to do about this save file corruption? Because of course, that is a very sort of crippling element to their games, which is really sort of robbing people from the experience. So I wonder what they're planning on doing with that, and this is exactly what I mean. You know, there's been no word to really kind of give us an indication of what they're working on. There's no patch notes in any of the hotfixes or whatever they do. I mean, they're blaming each other. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's not our fault because Zero Games did it. Oh yeah, but you know, ask the publisher, they'll know more information about it. And then you got both screenshots of both messages side by side, and then just basically blaming each other. It's like, well, we want concrete sort of definitive answers. We don't want, we'll pass it to the development team, because you ever sit there on on a waiting list, or you ever sit there in a queue on the phone, you know, and they give you the same repeated message over and over and over again. Eventually you make a decision, you put the phone down, or you just go off and do something else, you know. And that's exactly what a lot of people have done. They've just gone off to experience and play bigger and better games. Like I say, don't get my enthusiasm and, you know, the way that I feel about these games, the passion that I feel about these games confused with hate. It's more so constructive, because I want people to see what these games are like, and I want them to know what the problems are. And surprisingly, like I said, a lot of the problems are still relevant. You know, the PC version, 2018, there's been nothing. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to really weigh up your options. You've really got to see the evidence for what it is. Now, a lot of people could go, well, you know, the game's 25 quid, what you moaning about? You know, and that's fair enough. A lot of people may see it in that sort of way. But that's just part of the problem, isn't it? It's enabling them because they can get away with it. And I'm fed up of them getting away with it. A lot of people could say, well, don't play it, go play something else, but no, that's not the point. That's really not the point. You know, I want this game to work as intended, the way that they sell it to me. Not buy it and then wait on the promise or the chance that it may or may not be fixed. It's exactly what we're dealing with a tourist bus at the moment. We're just waiting on the idea or a little bit of information, just something to help us cling on to the fact that it will be sorted. But there's nothing there. The Unreal 5 engine upgrade, that sort of element to it for me, doesn't mean anything. You know, because let's face it, it may look good, but whether it runs and performs, or whether the same issues which are on the PC side of it translate over to the console side of it, do you know what I mean? That's the sort of information that we want. You know, is the sat-nav going to be fixed? Is the save data corruption problem going to be fixed? You know what I mean? Are the AI going to be improved? There is none of that. And the reason why there's none of that is because it's all going to be copy and pasted over. And people will disagree with me on that, but let's face it, yeah, we've got the evidence in front of us with a game that you can play on console currently that describes exactly what I've just said. And I'll get the purists and I'll get people comment on it saying, I think Tourist Bus is the greatest game since sliced bread. Bravo, fine, fair enough. If you want to pay into it and deny the fact that there's nothing wrong with it, you're part of the problem. And that's the issue. If we can't stand up and actually say, look, this is what we want, this is what we expect, we have paid our money into something that you said was this, but turns out it wasn't, and it's taking you months and months and months to fix the smallest of problems. How can you expect somebody like me to believe you? You can't, can you? And that's literally all it comes down to. The term cash grab gets used quite a lot, and they are very, very good at doing that. Okay? Of course you're going to like Ferbus. If you're somebody that's been waiting around for a little while for it, that's absolutely fine. But you've got to expect the fact that there are going to be issues with it. You know, and you may say, oh yeah, we don't know what those are because you haven't played the game yet. But we have played the game. This is the problem. Because it's all copy and paste. You're literally seeing. You can play a game right now and you'll know what sort of problems are occurring. I've even proven some of them with a sat nav. You know what I mean? There's lots of things which still haven't been addressed and sorted out, and yet we've been dropped with a promise of a new engine. It's going to run and everything's just going to be sunshines and rainbows. Come on, realistically we're dealing with a culprit here that's very good at saying something and then not delivering, and that's just it. Yeah, it is the BB40. Sorry, G-Song. Thanks for filling that in, Christina. I appreciate that. This is what I mean, you know. I think the problems will continue to persist the longer that people just accept the fact, you know. And unfortunately, I'm not one to accept the fact. Eventually, it will come to a point where I'll just stop playing the games completely. Because, like I said before, we want to have good things to say about this developer and their games. But unfortunately, they are letting themselves down, and they're letting themselves down hard. Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad if they were honest, but they're not. They're far from it. They're far from it. But we will get into a few more positives. I mean, like I said, if you're a fan of Tourist Bus and you like the look of Fernbus, driving the buses is fun. It is fun. They compensate, they handle well, they drive well. The buses aren't really my main concern. It's just everything else that's going on around. You know, the environment, the city, different areas that you go in. They don't feel lived in. It's very barren. It's very bare, to the point of where, you know, you feel like you're the only bus driver on the road. Everything else is just really sort of dull, and I think that the only real way to kind of spice that up is to play in another weather system, raining or, you know, snow, whatever the case may be. But it's very, very good. It's a very, very good marketing scheme from them anyway. But I hope I haven't rambled too much. It's just the way that I feel about it, you know. Of course, I'm not going to be able to prevent everybody. I mean, let me reword that, because my goal isn't to prevent people to buy these games, because at the end of the day, you make your own mind up. I just like to expose the issues which are not only in one game, but in two of their games which they've developed. And now there's another culprit on the scene which is, you know, taking up all of their resources by the look of it, and I mean the bus, you know, and their sort of main focus is on that, you know. And because of course they're doing that, when Ferbus actually comes to console, I think tourist bus is just going to be left in the dust, to be honest. Whether they upgrade it or not, I still think that there's going to be a lot of issues. And I mean a lot of issues. The game's broken enough as it is. What do you guys think in the chat? Are you going to buy Ferbus? Are there any sort of major concerns that you have? Is there anything that you want to see? Any questions you want to ask? I mean, fire away. I'm more than happy to cater for you guys. You know, that's the whole point of this stream. But of course, as always, I appreciate you all coming in. Of course, it's a pretty big map. I mean, I'll show you. It's a pretty big area to drive around, and of course, we're going to have different countries as well. So, I guess it's not all so bad, but there is a lot of ground here, but generally not a lot going on inside it. You compare it to something like Euro Truck. At least with Euro Truck, it feels, you know, lived in when you travel through the different cities and stuff. But here, you can really tell where they've copied and pasted a lot of the same sort of corners and roads, and half the time, like the intersections and the junctions and stuff, they all look exactly the same. Like exactly that. Sometimes when I'm driving, I feel like I've got deja vu, like I've done the same turn like 6 times. You know, it turns out that it's just in a completely different area. You know, there's a lot of it, and of course, that's a small criticism, but it definitely plays a big part in, you know, in how long you're actually going to sit down and how long you're actually going to play this game. For me, these games, like I said, small doses. They're always small doses. The only time I ever play Tourist Bus or Fernbus is for a stream. I never ever play it out of luxury of playing it. And for me, that says an awful lot. Sometimes it can feel a little bit of a chore to play, you know, because, and I'll tell you exactly why that is. It's because a lot of the issues are sort of like transparent between both games, and they coexist between both games. So you're literally just, all you're doing is substituting one environment for another. The buses, the passengers, everything is all the same. You're just basically paying to be able to drive, you know, through Germany, wherever it may be, instead of being on an island. And that's it. And of course, if that's worth the change and the you know, the price that you pay for it, then by all means. But for me, I just don't feel like that's enough. Let's have a look. Let's catch up with the chat. G-Song, with how things going wrong with Tourist Bus, I think I won't. Stiana, what is Ferbus revolutionised? I've seen many videos of it, and it makes the game look far better. Is this a mod? This is exactly the problem, Christiana. So see, in other words, what's happening is that you're being, like for Fabian, you're being shown the best possible version of the game, and that is done on a high-end PC with the graphics maxed out, everything, to basically sell you something that's not going to be like that in terms of performance when it comes to the console version. And this is what my biggest fear was, because I feel like they're showing us a PC version, claiming it's a console version, and then when you actually get your hands on the console version, it's not going to look anything like that. And I think a lot of people are going to catch on to it, and I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. You know, but that is generally what they do. They just show you the best version of the game, and the only way to do that is to show you it on PC. You know, they can play around with the lighting and the reflections and all that kind of stuff, you know, to make it look nice. But looking nice is just part is one part of it. You want the environment to look nice as well. You want it to feel lived in. You want the pedestrians to at least look like they're getting on the bus properly. You know, not just floating into it. You know, or floating off of it. You know, the buses and the passengers are the two really big main core elements of the game because you're dealing with them all the time. You're a bus driver. But when the pedestrians don't even get on and off the bus properly, do you know what I mean? It takes away from that immersion again, you know, and it just feels like we're being robbed. It really does. A lot of people are going to agree, a lot of people are going to disagree with it, but this is, like I said, this is just my take on it, you know. I can only say what I see. Oh, yeah, I forgot my indicators don't work. Funny how I spent that little bit of extra time in the beginning of the stream to set it up to make sure that, you know, they were working, and then midway through they just failed completely. BB40 bug, I think. And, you know, as to no surprise, the BB40 is my favourite bus to drive. You know, go figure, eh? The one bus I actually enjoy driving the most. The sat-nav don't work properly, and then the indicators stop working. Ugh, I don't know. Bit of a headache, isn't it? Bit of a minefield when it comes to it. But like I say, I really want to be able to kind of speak positively about this game. And there are a few sort of elements to it which are nice, but there are more negatives than positives, and unfortunately, it really does hinder your experience. Really does hinder your experience. The way that I would describe it, you know, you go into a restaurant, yeah, and you sit at a table, but, you know, your luck being your luck, you pick the wonkiest table there is, and you try your absolute best to stop the table from being wonky. So you try all different kinds of things. You put a card under the table leg or whatever. You know, you go to grab your nice cold pint, and then all of a sudden the table just goes nah, and then your pint's all over the floor. It just leaves a bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. That's probably a really weird way to describe it, but it's like sitting down to go to the toilet and realising there's no toilet roll. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't enjoy it because there's no toilet roll. Oh, I don't know. Mr. Water, I think you need to think about what you're saying, Diesel. Both the console and PC will be Unreal 5. Console probably before PC. Well, the thing is, Mr. Water, I don't have to be careful of what I say, because this is my verdict. This is my opinion on the subject. You know, I'm giving you my version of it based on the experience that I'm having. Whether we want to get into the technicalities of whether it'll be Unreal 5 or not, that's not what I want to know, and that's, like I said before, that's not really what I care about. What I care about is whether the issues in hand that we are currently dealing with are going to be fixed. I don't care whether it's wrapped up with a nice little bow. I just want to know a little bit more in terms of communication from the developer as to whether these things are going to be addressed. Saying that it's going to be through the Unreal 5 engine doesn't actually give us that information. Like I said, it may look nice, but whether it runs okay, whether the information and bugs that we are experiencing now will be fixed, is another story. Yeah. Of course, like I say, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but at the end of the day, people know by now on this channel that I can be extremely blunt to the point of where I'm not sort of worried about all the fuzz. You know, I just like to see it as for what it is, and like I say, for the experience that I'm having right now, and the experience that I have with Tourist Bus, over the course of its life, meaning from the beginning, you know, from the PC side of it, all the way up until the console port, it's been nothing but disappointment. You know, I've tried to enjoy it, I've tried to like it, but there are so many cracks on the surface, it's unreal. And now that they're saying that they're working on new projects and trying to port more games and do all this before things are actually fixed, it just winds me up a little bit, because it's just the same old regurgitated crap that we get from them all the time. And like I say, Fabian is very, very good at doing that. Whether people agree with me or not, that's entirely up to you. And it doesn't mean to say as well, Mr. Water, that, you know, I don't appreciate what you're saying, but I would like to think that I can have a constructive conversation with people without people getting upset about games. You know, do you know what I mean? Not saying that you are. I'm just clarifying on that, because it's something that I get an awful lot in terms of comments on the channel. Oh, they work. But where are we going? So, this is another prime example, especially what Christiana said. Yeah, so we're pulling up into this bus stop coach, whatever you want to call it. There's 3 coaches there, including myself. But if you notice, there's only passengers waiting for me. There's no drivers on the other coaches. There's no passengers getting on and off any of the other coaches. So this is what I mean. But to be distracted by the snow, you know, it's another thing, isn't it? Hey, Berlin unlocked. Right, let's get these friendly folk aboard. This lady always makes me laugh because, like...
Hallo, bin ich hier richtig? Vielen Dank.
Sure.
Hallo, hier ist mein Ticket.
Oh,
Können Sie
you're
das
not coming on
rückgängig
the
machen?
Fernbus.
Ich muss ja ganz woanders hin.
Mahlzeit. Hier mein
What is
Ticket.
going on with your eyes? Never mind.
Danke.
I'll just let you on.
Hello. Bitte sehr. Danke.
Grüezi, ist das gültig? Danke.
But to say that, actually, I think that the
Grüezi. Bin ich hier richtig?
Unreal 5 engine
Grüezi. Mein Ticket.
upgrade
Danke
will
sehr.
come to PC first before console, and the reason why I think that is simply down to the fact that there are a lot of hoops which they have to jump through Microsoft and Sony to get these updates approved. It's much easier to do it on the PC side of it than what it is console. You have to wait a long time in comparison. So, and I'm pretty sure that Fabian said as well that the Unreal 5 version upgrade will come to PC before console anyway. So. Yeah, it's all good fun. Like I say, don't take anything that I say in this stream to heart, because, like I said, it is literally just my verdict. Oh, look, here we go. Throttle control in the... Hey, we have a working sat-nav. Don't know if you've noticed that, but in Tourist Bus with the latest the last update, new places have been added. No, I can't say that I have.
Ich hole mir noch einen Zug hier.
Like I say, it's not the fact that I don't enjoy playing these games, you know. It's not the fact that I don't like Tourist Bus, it's not the fact that I don't like Ferbus. I'm just more annoyed at the fact that, you know, we just get told the same things over and over and over again and nothing materialises. And like I say, if they wanted people to have better expectations of another console port, at least get the first console port right. Despite how you may feel about that, surely as a form of like, you know, like customer service or whatever to people, you know, at least get that side of it right, because then the chances are people are going to be more inclined to buy your next game if they're treated well. And I can assure you this, we are not treated well whatsoever. Of course, this is just talking about gaming in general, but I really want Fernbus out before Christmas. I like cruising on the motorways and listening to music on my AirPods. And at Christmas, I'm getting the Logitech G29 Yeah, that's that's going to be a good one for you, Tom. Especially with the with your new wheel. Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy that. Before Christmas, it could be a bit of a long shot. I mean, I don't know. It depends. I mean, they don't really tell us much, but you know, I think he said something along the lines of end of this year they're aiming for, but beginning of next. So I have a suspicion that it's probably going to be after Christmas. Be very surprised if it is, but I mean, of course, if it is, it is. You know, you'll be waiting a very long time for Tourist Bus to be updated on console. Fabian has already said it won't be updated till after Ferbus Simulator releases on console. Yeah, but that's what I mean, Mr. Water. You know, it's that sort of general sort of attitude and the motions which they go through. Surely they should update Tourist Bus first, considering it's their console, but it's the first console port. Do you know what I mean? Instead of moving on to other projects and working on other projects, surely they should get Tourist Bus working right. And this is what I said in the beginning of this stream. You know, I have a sneaky suspicion that the moment that Ferbus comes out, you know, for console, they're going to try and get people to forget about Tourist Bus, and people just aren't going to do that. They just really aren't going to do that. I mean, they must live in a fairy tale land to expect people not to kick up a fuss about it. That's what I mean, you know. Even if they do decide to bring them all up to speed at one point, when Tourist Bus was announced coming to console, they promised very, very similar things, and to this day, none of that has materialised. Now they've got Fernbus coming to console, same things are being said, and I'm sat here thinking to myself, like, well, it's just going to be a repeat, isn't it? They make you pay for it, then you wait for updates. I've been caught a lot. Yeah, exactly, Paul House. Exactly. That's the one thing which I'm trying to kind of put across. I'm not worried about the technical side of it as to whether what's going to get updated first. The thing that which boils my blood is the fact that it shouldn't even be a conversation to be had. They should have that the latest game in the best of interest to try and get it up to speed, to try and get it working properly before they move on to something else. But the problem is they just don't do that. Whether there's going to be a fancy upgrade for an engine or not, their focus should simply be trying to put the games which they've already published right before moving on to something else. No matter whether you like one game more than the other. I want Ferbus out. What's taken them so long? You haven't watched all of the Ferbus Simulator console videos, have you? What is that in regards to me, Mr. Water? Because I can assure you that I do my due diligence before I speak, and the difference is that I'm talking in a non-bias perspective. You may believe what Fabian says, But the reality of the fact is that everything that he has said so far has yet to be seen, yet been materialised. You know, I'm not going to sit here and argue with people because it's a game at the end of the day. But look, you can't convince me that that tree's not brown, even though it is. Do you know what I mean? That's just the way it goes. You know, I've watched all of SimNext, all of their videos on all of the information. You know, and I've done multiple videos on it as well. You know, about these subject matters. But the difference is I'm not coming at it from an angle as to whether I enjoy or not enjoy the game. I look at the behaviour which comes from this company and how they treat their players. If people don't like it, that's absolutely fine, but you choose to watch. And that is just it. It's just moral of the story. It's not how much I've read or how much I've seen, because I've seen all of it, and to be fair, it's getting to a point where nothing's actually materialising for what they're saying. And they can't blame me for not thinking that way because of the experience that we've had with previous titles. Probably answers me when I said that they're making the last test according to Fabian's German version. Well, I mean, you know, like, primarily we will not know for certain as to whether the game is going to be running in a poor state when it does get released. But what I'm trying to say to people is that they've said very, very similar things about games which they've already ported over. They are in such bad states at the moment. I don't understand how they can expect people to believe that this game is going to be flawless, whether there's a new engine or not. Yeah, I hope it's slightly cheaper than Tourist Bus, as we suffered with their other game, like 40% off its release in 1 week before Christmas. Yeah. I mean, they're going to charge you probably around the same price, I would imagine. But like I say, we don't know that sort of information, do we? So, you know, this is it. This is it. This is all it comes down to. We can only go off based on the, like I said many times over the course of this stream, you know, of the experience that we have been handled previously. That's all we can do. That is all we can do. But this is the problem, isn't it? It's dealing.
Wann kommt der nächste
It's dealing
Rastplatz?
with one side of it and then dealing with the next, because I'm literally here playing it right now. I'm going through all the problems that are wrong with it. I mean, I'm even cross-references and comparing it to a game which has heavily been copy and pasted, and I'm being told that what I'm saying is wrong, even though I'm sat here right now experiencing the same problems which I get on Tourist Bus. The only difference that people are hanging on to is the simple fact that there's going to be a new engine upgrade. That's it. Yeah, you may be getting a few more bells and whistles with the DLCs and stuff, but I mean, come on, it's just a little sweetener, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like I say, we'll definitely be able to tell when it does get released for consoles, won't we? But hey guys, at least the sat-nav's working again. What I find these days, right, is that when people are really enthusiastic about a game, right, they're almost blinded. And what I mean by that is that they refuse to believe or refuse to hear that the game that they love and are anticipating so much is exactly like its predecessor. People don't like that, and you know what, that's fair enough. But you can't neglect the fact that I'm actually showing you these issues and then sitting there and telling me that they're wrong, or I haven't updated my information, or I haven't watched videos, because I can assure you that I have. But the difference is that I can tell the difference between a blatant lie and not. We've heard it all before. Anybody that's followed Fabian enough knows Fabian's antics. They know his poise. You shouldn't have to explain that. It's just the people that are just so sort of like fixated on the fact that it's coming to console, they built up the hype, and they're just neglecting everything. And I just don't understand that. Could be wrong, but you know. Fabian said in one video that Fernbus will be slightly more expensive than Tourist Bus, but time will show. Oh, okay. Well, it might be. Yes, Mr. Water, I actually said that in the beginning of the stream. Actually, you know, I know it was 0 games, but the difference is, I mean, at the end of the day, when somebody brought that to 0 Games' attention about the Xbox fiasco, the issue, they replied back with, well, it's basically ask Aerosoft, ask, you know, Fabian, because they'll know more about it. And then Fabian sent the person back the other way and said that 0 Games would have more information on the matter. Do you know what I mean? Like it was 2 emails from 0 Games and Aerosoft, and they basically pointed at each other. They didn't give anybody a definitive, concrete answer. It was just, it's their fault. Oh no, it's their fault. Ask them. Nobody knows what's going on, do they? Yeah, no. Even got kicked out of Discord because I blamed 0 Games for wasting $30. Wow. This is how they treat customers who don't sugarcoat them. Exactly that. Now, it does boil down to one thing, you know, you do have a choice whether you play these games or not. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that before you buy it, you get into the hype, you're missold something because the representation isn't accurate. And then the moment that you've got something bad to say, or something constructively criticizing to say, you know, it's almost as if you hung out to dry, because all the people that do, you know, really want these games to do well are just blinded by the fact that, you know, they're not actually doing well, you know. But it's just accepting that. It's just accepting that. It's like I said previously, you ask Fabian a question about whether, I don't know, wheel support's coming, or when's the next update coming. You don't get an answer. But the moment that someone says negative about the game, he responds to it. Well, surely the idea would be to ignore the person that's being negative and focus on answering somebody asking a genuine question. But then the moment they do answer that genuine question, it's like a regurgitated response. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we'll pass it on to the development team. How many times do they say that a day? I don't know, but... Oh. Read up the chat. How's it going, Pro Pilot? Welcome to the stream, mate. Hope you're doing well. The fact that TML doesn't have control of Tourist Bus and Ferbus, it's disappointing. The communication times of 0 Games is borderline pathetic. It shouldn't take a week to find out where the game is at. Exactly that, Pro Pilot. But the thing is, this is what Like, I mean, I'll start it again. It's not the fact that I don't want Fernbus to do well, okay? It's not the fact that I don't want to see it come to console. It's the sort of general attitude and the motions that they go through and expect people to purchase it without blinking an eye. That is it for me. That's just the sort of general consensus. I mean, fair enough. If they're bringing it up to speed with the Unreal 5 engine upgrade, beautiful, cool. If it's going to look and run and sound nice, great. I have no issue with that. But due to current and past experience with them porting, whether it be TML, Zero Games, Eris, or whoever, they're all under the same umbrella. They're all saying the same things. The problem is, though, when you ask one, they blame the next. And then you just go round and round in circles. You don't actually get a definitive answer. It's just like talking to a robot sometimes. In my opinion, the issue with Airsoft is they're trying to launch too many games at one time. They need to focus on one or two before moving on to the next. Well, funny you say that, Pro Pilot. Maybe it's not just me then, but I literally just said that, like, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes ago. You know, that is the general concern for me, because, like I said, before they decide to bring any more games to console or decide to produce and develop any new games, surely they should fix what they've already put out. But they don't. And it's all like deja vu, it's all happening again. People think that a new engine's going to make a difference. It's not, because you can have all the gear in the world and no idea. And I think a lot of people need to realise that. You know, only because I've got milk in the fridge, it doesn't mean to say I've got a cow in the garden. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that irritates me. They definitely need to get their priorities straight. That's for sure. If they want the reputation to grow and they want more people buying their games, then they just need to be a little bit more upfront with people and communicate better, no matter who is porting their games, no matter who's developing their games. Do you know what I mean? They really need to be a little bit more transparent, because I'm sure people can tell the difference between, you know, a blatant lie, you know, and somebody responding to you in a genuine way. I just think it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. What's that? Just don't buy it, bro. Ourselves everything. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Fully agree. They know that they messed up so badly with On the Road, and they're trying to cover it up with heavy cargo to make people forget it. To be fair, I mean, because Fabian and the fiasco with On the Road didn't go so well, he's definitely got a big reputation, and it's not a good one. And unfortunately, because he's the face of, you know, Tourist Bus, he's the face of Fernbus coming, he's doing all the interviews, he's talking to everybody, you know. I think that kind of just is kind of shooting himself in the foot before he even starts, you know. Pro Pilot, I will be buying it. I love the series. I'm just disappointed that we only get updates every month. And the fact that TML still has no idea when it'll launch. Surely the dev should have a timeline. Well, you would think so. You would think so, Pro Pilot. But I think the moral of the story is that because we're so passionate and we want these games to do well, I feel that probably about 80% of it is communication error. Everything else is just tiny, minute bugs that over a course of a period of time have just got progressively worse. And their negligence to actually fixing those problems and the timeline that it takes, like you said, Pro Pilot, to get these updates out could be a little bit more swift, you know, but unfortunately they're not. I've contacted Aerosoft support many times because on the road freezes up on my Xbox and they tell me every time downright lies and fix it. I mean, I think we can all sit here and, you know, it's fair to say that they're not going to continue support with on the road. That game's dead in the water. It has been for a while. It's a shame though that, you know, they don't upgrade that for Unreal Engine 5 as well. I think that would be quite cool if they was to do something in that nature. But I think it's too far gone, that one. I just hope that the experience that they had with On the Road, they kind of use that as somewhat of a stepping stone to improve their next game if they do buy it. But unfortunately, I think that ship sailed, didn't it? No, but the thing is, Mr. Water, we're not saying that they did, and I don't know where you keep getting this. I don't know why you keep crossing the wires. We are aware that you know, TML weren't behind the development of On the Road, but this is what I was saying about it being Fabian and the umbrella that he is a part of. So it's the reputation that comes across. So when people talk about On the Road as sort of a general consensus, it's not the fact that the game's poor, it's the fact that the lack of communication and the attitude that comes from him is translated not only through On the Road, but through Tourist Bus and through Fernbus as well. So that's basically what people are saying. It's got nothing to do with who's developing the game. It's the face of the publisher. You know, and you know, fair enough, but it is just basically like that. And that's what I mean. It's like the reputation that he has with the people. Because it's so poor, it's having a negative impact on TML, Zero Games, whoever the case may be, or whoever's involved. You know, it just doesn't look good for them. Well, like I say, Mr. Water, you are entitled to your own opinion. You definitely are. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you're wrong because you've got your own verdict to it. But what I'm saying is that if somebody starts talking about On the Road, you can't jump down their throat and tell them that Aerosoft or TML didn't develop it, because that's not what people are saying. I like to think it's a bit of a neutral ground here, you know, like it's not hate and it's not liking, you know, it's more to do with the fact that we're just trying to all come to some sort of general consensus as to what's going on, because they don't communicate very well, and yet it's another situation where we are left to essentially argue amongst ourselves because the communication is so poor. That's all it comes down to. Whether you like the game or not, people are going to have a mixed view of what anyone says, you know. And it surely just comes down to the fact that if you like it, you defend it. If you don't like it, you defend your point of view, don't you? You know, that's life, you know. On the road was their port baby. Tourist bus sim spoiled that middle child and hopefully Fernbus. Yeah, I mean, hopefully. You see, Mr. Water though, but they weren't developed by Aerosoft or TML, you see. But I agree with you completely. I agree with you completely. They are. There's nothing really that comes into comparison with it. Cristiano, true. Nobody of them wants to take responsibility. It's so easy to blame others for it simply because they don't want to admit their mistakes. Yeah, there's a certain element to that, but the real issue with it is that in sort of a general conversation that's fine, but when money's involved, that's when things take a bit of a turn. You know, I mean, it wouldn't be so bad. Like, for instance, if they was to charge you like, I don't know, like 10, 15 quid or whatever for these games, it wouldn't be too bad. But when they start pushing the boat with their ridiculously priced DLCs and stuff, you know, it's not on, is it? Especially when the games aren't quite working properly. And that's another subject matter, isn't it? You know, surely you should make sure that your game's at least functioning before charging people for DLC that they can't use. I mean, that's a thing in itself, isn't it? I appreciate you all coming in anyway. This is what I mean. I love to talk to you guys and get your sort of opinions and verdicts. I'm not going to shoot you down or say that you're wrong, because at the end of the day, that's not the big enemy, is it? We aren't the big enemy. I don't want people arguing amongst each other, because at the end of the day, whilst we're all doing that, they're holding on to our money and not delivering, essentially. The software have said they've begun the early work to bring ETS to console. Won't be any time soon, though, I don't think. Yeah, ProPilot. There's been. I mean, you'll be surprised the amount of people that tell me that. You know, but the thing is that if it was from a marketing perspective, if they wanted people to get excited and to buy it, if it was to come to console, they would have announced that on a larger scale. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they know that people want it, they would have announced that somewhat officially, you know, through Twitter or Facebook or whatever the case may be, to build that hype up to get people to purchase it. You know, that's just simple marketing, that is. I would absolutely love Euro Truck, an American truck, to come to console. I mean, you can play Euro Truck through your Xbox, through GeForce Now. I don't know if you knew that, but it is an option. But to see those games come to console, I think a lot of people would forget the likes of Tourist Bus and Fernbus. You know, that those two would be top of the hill, I think. There's no denying that one. You know, but I do buy these games, you know, and I do invest time in them. And this is all it is, it's just where the frustration comes from. Because you can see the potential, and the problem is where everything else is a bit fuzzy on what's really going on, because they don't tell us too much. You know, I mean, these things do take time, they do take money, and they do take a really good development team. But there are certain measures that they can put into place to prevent, you know, issues which we're dealing with currently, so they're not replicated across games, all their ports, no matter who's porting. They have a level of responsibility. It's like Rockstar. I know Rockstar's a massive company in comparison to in comparison to, you know, the likes of TML. But they got somebody else to pull, you know, their remasters, and they weren't right, and they put it, well, should I say they were wrong, and they put it right. It's just a different level of care, isn't it, to customers? That's what they need to work on. It's just the overall sort of care that, you know, they give to us players, and try and treat us a little bit more like humans and not numbers, you know. TML will sell you a Snicker Duo with one side in it. Cut the one in half and tell you it's two. Yeah, exactly, ProPilot, exactly. I think the graphics engine on the ETS2 and ATS is the main issue. They would need to convert to... I mean, if they was to convert to Unity, I mean, Unity maybe like, you know, 2010 was good, but for simulation, Unity's just not good. But yeah, you are right, Christiana. If they was to ever, I think if they was to ever make or port Euro Truck or American Truck to console, they would probably do it in a manner through an engine that would be supported by consoles. Yeah. So Unreal 5, you never know. I mean, it could be potentially done, but at the same time, because they're such big games, you know, you kind of, maybe they don't want, you know, rob people from the experience, because they are big games and there are a lot of buttons, and quite simply, the controllers just wouldn't have enough buttons to really support that, you know, through all the mapping and stuff. Of course, you could plug a keyboard into your console, I suppose. That could work. Could be an option. Either that or build a workable console version of their engine. Yeah, there's loads of different possibilities, isn't there? Loads of possibilities. And of course, with the hardware that now we've got with the new generation of consoles, you know, it's getting better and better and better as time goes on. So who's to say that it won't? I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that, you know, it'll never come to console, because I mean, I'm none the wiser. I have no idea. But I think if it was to come to console, they would announce it in... Jump that red. Will announce it in such a big way. Because of course it's heavily anticipated, isn't it? I think I need to take a... Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. But no, a little bit back on track now. A little bit of the topic is, you know, we've got to take all these points into consideration from everyone. Oh, the indicator. Oh, there we go. From everyone, you know, because we've all got a part to play in this. Let's just hope that they deliver. That's essentially it. It's all we can hope for.
Guten Tag. Sie wollen bestimmt mein Ticket sehen. Auf geht's.
Sure.
Hallo, das Ticket, bitte. Cool.
2 passengers today. Not bad. Try and get on the old bus. Yes, Mr. What I have played Microsoft Flight Sim, and it went down very, very horribly, actually. I mean, part of the problem was I was trying to fly the plane with mouse and keyboard, which just didn't work. Good game. It is a good game, especially for plane enthusiasts, you know. I think that just like Train Sim World, you know, each plane has its own different control scheme, its own start up, stop, all that kind of stuff. And I feel that if you've got the time to really sit there and invest in getting to learn the controls of certain planes or trains, then you can have a lot of fun with it. But for me, I just don't have the time to actually sit there and invest in learning how to sort of master the craft. Some people can do it. It's like water off a duck's back, Some people can just do it, but for me, I feel that Flight Sim was just a tiny little bit too complicated for the time that I could throw at it, Oh, look at that. A door that's controlled by a throttle. And this is where the sat-nav stops working now. Ugh. Well, the evidence is pointing to late December, mid-January release for Fernbus. Last video they posted showed the build they intend to submit, so hopefully we see how far TML has come. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Gibt es hier keine Heizung?
No, there's no heating. You seen the cost of living these days? But no, like I say, we will definitely know more about it when it does actually, hit the console, and we can kind of assess and go over it based on that. Oh yeah, absolutely, Mr. Water, absolutely. I think the biggest mistake that I made was doing it on stream. Like literally the first time I ever played Flight Sim, I just jumped in on a stream and just played it. Like there was no sort of like getting myself familiar with it beforehand or anything like that. It was literally just as raw as it comes. I just loaded the game up, pressed live, go live, and then that was it. But it is a crazy game to play. It's quite satisfying as well, especially when you manage to land it. Taking off's probably the easiest bit, I think. Keeping it stable and landing it. I don't know. But like I say, guys, I do have a Discord channel, and I will leave the Discord link in the description. Hey, I may even put it into the chat before the stream ends. But in there, like I say, we talk about trucks, trains, planes, you name it. We cover it all in there. It's not very busy, but of course there are channels that you can use to show off your latest truck pictures, or fishing, farming, trains, whatever you want to do. And of course, when Fernbus does come to consoles, as a way of me giving back to the community, I'll be hosting a giveaway there for a lucky individual to the chance to win a copy of Fernbus for whatever platform they choose. But I will be announcing the winner in the Discord, simply just to give people more of a chance to participate, because if I do it live, I just don't think that it's fair. So yeah, if you're interested in that, join up on the Discord, and I'll announce that the moment the moment it gets released, I suppose. Oh, put on the chat. Love the weather, so realistic and much. Yeah, it definitely is. Have you turned traffic density down in Ferbus? There are barely any cars around. Believe it or not, I'm fairly confident it's actually at 50. But this is what I was saying to you, Cristiano. So, because the map is so big, there's not really an awful lot going on inside it. So you don't really tend to see a lot of traffic, which is a shame. I mean, of course, you could put it up to 100, but I think for performance issues, just like Tourist Bus, the game suffers quite badly when when you have the traffic density up so high. But it's exactly the same as what happens in tourist bus. Because believe it or not, this is actually a very, very performance crippling game. It does take quite a chunky setup to run it in a good way without it bugging out on you. But of course, through the PC version, there are a lot of settings to choose from. There are a lot of settings to change, and you know, it depends on how you want to play it, really. Visually, anyway. You must have not long to go now. A couple of stops. Well, the lights not working either. It's a bit frustrating. Like I say, TML, after the fiasco that we've had with Tourist Bus, they do have an opportunity, whether they use Tourist Bus as a stepping stone or not, they do have an opportunity now to make sure that everything that's gone wrong previously is fixed and put right, so that we can all enjoy Fernbus really for what it's supposed to be. And maybe some people can accept the fact that Tourist Bus may be neglected. Some people might kind of feel a bit down about that, but you know, I think the reality of it is more than anything is that they really need to just get their priorities in check, and they do need to polish up a few things, not just game wise but communication as well. Like I said, I don't think it would be that bad if we was at least informed rather than kind of left in the dark. I think that's when the issues start. So my sat nav doesn't work, my indicators don't work, and my lights don't work. I mean, great way to be driving in these conditions, eh? Yeah, I give credit where credit is due. Like I say, the buses drive nice. The map isn't too bad. The weather, the dynamic weather is nice. It's nice to drive in. But there's got to be more to it than that, you know. To at least keep you playing the game for long periods of time, you know, they've at least got to put a few things right, you know. And hey, who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Fabian did say in his latest video that there will be a lot of options on console for Ferbus Simulator, so hopefully that means decent force feedback. I mean, the one thing that, like I say, from Tourist Bus on PC to console, there was a lot of options that were missing. Oh, I can't see anything. I do hope that that's not the case with Fernbus, because on the PC side, with Ferbus and Tourist Bus, you can change different settings, force feedback, for like road force. You can do like your where you get crashed into sort of force, you know, how your wheel reacts. You know, you get all those options. So I'm hoping that that's not lost in translation through the port. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Mein Nagel ist angerissen.
This is absolutely ridiculous. How am I supposed to drive with no lights? Hey, there we go. Presto, we have light. I don't know how I'm supposed to drive with no lights. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But this is what I mean, like, it would be really nice, instead of Fabian just saying there will be options, tell us what those options are. Let us know the details. What options is he talking about? We just don't know. But it almost feels the less that he says, the less that people can kind of gun it in for. If he slips up and says something like there will be force feedback settings, and then when the game arrives there isn't any, there'll be a massive uproar. So he's very, very clever at what he says and how he says it. Even if there is a language barrier or not. And sometimes I do feel that the German version is definitely a little bit more in depth than what the English version is, and you know, I mean, I guess that it does come down to language barrier, but you know, telling us the ins and outs of the options which are going to be in game, I don't think it's going to be very difficult to do. That was so funny that way. Yeah, ridiculous. This weird, like, I know that you get that flickering when you go past the lampposts as well. But we will see. Like I say, when they do upgrade it, I will be showcasing it on the channel, just so that I can sit there and kind of see what is there and what's not. You know, but I highly doubt that I will be purchasing this for console. And there are many reasons for that, but of course that's my decision to make. Plus I already own the game anyway, so if it's not going to be much different, then there's no point really, is there? As a German girl myself, I can confirm this is in more detail. Yeah, I kind of had a suspicion. on that. Sadly, but you know, they are a German company after all. Whoa. No, I don't deny that it's a bit of fun. Like I say, for me, small doses is definitely the way to go. You know, you can customise your own routes and, you know, make them as long or as short as you possibly want. So I guess there are a few good core elements within the game. I mean, you imagine if the console version of it has the same luggage issue as what Tourist Bus does for console. You imagine that'd be an absolute joke. But it would definitely be nice to see different buses being used as well. Hey. Oh. See, the only problem is getting on and off of this. Every time I get on and off, I'm just so worried that that sat-nav and the lights aren't going to
Moin.
work.
Das Ticket. Bitte, ciao. Moin. Ich hoffe, ich bin hier richtig.
Ja.
Cool.
Grüezi, mein Ticket. Danke sehr.
Moin. Fahren Sie in meine Richtung? Cool.
Grüezi, mein Ticket?
What's she look? Okay.
Danke.
Hello, hier ist mein Ticket.
All
Dankeschön.
these guys stood out here in the cold.
Tag. Fahren Sie in mein... Cool.
Ciao, das Ticket. Cool.
Mahlzeit. Vielen Dank.
Anybody else? There's one more.
Mahlzeit, mein Ticket.
Got fuzzy glasses.
Vielen Dank.
Right. Oh, don't do this to me now. I need my lights. Oh, goodness me. We might just have to wing this. Right, now that the door's closed, up and down, up and down. There we go. You've literally just got to jump in and out, in and out, in and out. Do the hokey pokey, turn around. English is not Fabian's strongest point, I guess. Sorry if this sounded mean, I didn't say anything about... No, 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 you're fine. You're fine, don't worry about it. Like I say, it's just something which, you know, when there's a communication problem and then you've also got a language barrier, it definitely doesn't help that situation, does it? I have to admit though, it does look pretty nice in the snow. Looks nice in the wet as well when it's raining. Thunderstorm is an excellent way to play this game. I think it looks really nice visually when it's raining on this. But of course, if like I say, if anybody's got any questions regarding this game, you know, anybody watching this stream back or whatever, you know, or you want to see anything in particular, then just let me know. I'm more than happy to cater for you. Am I going this way? Absolutely. Oh, problem is there's no lampposts anywhere or any lighting of any kind. You would at least expect some sort of like checkered markers or something, you know. Just a guessing game. What doesn't help as well is that the majority of the white lines on those slip ramps are covered in snow, so it doesn't help. But like I say guys, if you did like this video, you know, this stream, leave us a cheeky like. If you are new here, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff. Trying to bring a few more simulation games to the channel as time goes on. I will be doing a few more polls as well. I just feel that's probably the easiest way to do it, you know, because if there's something particular that people want to see, like today, then I'm more than happy to do it. Most definitely does, G-Song. We just want to get our hands on... Look, you don't even know where where is the road? but I'm sure a few of us will be eager to get our hands on it when it does release. One thing I have noticed though is when it's dark, it's like really dark, and like the snow textures look a bit funny. Even though that like there's no light on those over there, they're still showing. Maybe a bit more lighting would help. A few lampposts here and there. Yeah, it probably did fail a technical inspection, yeah. Yeah. A technical development inspection, more like. I just hope that they do get a lot of testing in. You know, I really hope that they test it, or test the crap out of it when it comes on the console side. Because that definitely was a problem with Taurus Bus. You know, there's just clearly not enough testing. That much was evident. Well, at least the brakes work. That I am thankful for. Gets you in a bit of a Christmassy mood, doesn't it? Looking at all this snow, the lighting, sirens in the distant background. Never a dull moment. There we go. Do I like the bus? I've never seen a game with such true... Yeah, so recently I've been covering the bus a little bit on the channel actually. And so far, like I say, apart from the occasional stutter every now and then, and a few other bits and pieces which could definitely be improved upon, I have to say yes, I am enjoying the bus. It's a very, very visually stunning game. They've definitely done a nice job with that one, and because of course it's in early access, all the little things which I may find wrong with it, I hope that by the time it's out of early access, that all of those things will be kind of fixed and are out of the way, and it's a little bit better optimized, because at the moment it's not very well optimized. You know, I find that you've really got to have a decent PC to handle that game, because it's definitely a demanding one, that's for sure.
Überpünktlich. Das ist ja kaum zu glauben.
Before schedule, you can't believe it. You want to be grateful I was driving half of it with no lights. Let's have a look outside, shall we? It's almost as if the snow just stops, you know, there's like a layer. No bus there. Oh. It's telling me to get into the bus. Yeah. But I think that was quite a nice journey. Like I say, guys, I really appreciate you all coming in. You know, if you did like it, leave us a cheeky like. Subscribe if you're new. And like I say, we can only expect so much. And let's just hope that they manage to really sort of outdo themselves with this console release for Fernbus. Let's hope that it doesn't come across with as many bugs and issues as what Tourist Bus has. And hopefully we can all enjoy the game for what it truly is, and all appreciate it with no fuss, you know, or anything like that. Better experience all around would be excellent. And if it does come before Christmas, then happy days. But like I say, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. I will be back tomorrow. But until next time, guys, take it easy, stay safe, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one.